So Ian, one of the new ranges for 2012 is the Marksman series.
Yep,
and I see that it's available in 2 versions, and I wonder if you could explain both versions to us.
Well, interestingly, Ian, we've got, I mean, it's a concept that we actually came up with a couple of years back. We sat around the table and we thought, what can we do that's sort of new?
Yes.
Because everything in fishing's always been done, you know. So I thought to myself, given the amount of people that I see in the river that have this, I have to say, not you, but I have to say, this inherent casting problem with a double-handed rod. You know and I know for sure that the main problem that you see with people all the time is that they push the rod, they push the rod, they push their upper hand, and that compromises the action of the double-handed rod. You know and I know, and it comes from single-handed rod fishing. So I'm thinking to myself, when we're doing that, why not, instead of trying to change everyone's technique, you know, why not build a rod or a series of rods with that built into it, you know? So what we came up with was the Marksman series and an S, which is a Scandinavian, Scandinavian blank, and the T, a traditional action. Now, the differences between the two, there are one or two subtle differences. Obviously, in the action of the rod, there's quite a big difference. But the cosmetic effect of the rod is very different, I have to say.
Yes, I noticed that straight away.
So, what we've got is, we've got on the handle, for sure, if we look at this handle, look, you can see that the lower handle is much shorter. Yeah, you can see that the lower handle's shorter. But the upper handle on the traditional rod is much longer as well, you know? And there's a good reason for that, Ian. And it's, again, all based around your Mr. Average fisher. These rods are not designed for you and me, for instance, because there's not many people like you and me, fortunately, you know? But there's not many people like you and me. And they are built for average fishers, you know? But we've also got another difference, and it was a subtle difference brought about by a piece of work that I did with a high-speed camera. It was a camera that was running at like 200 frames a second, and I looked at the way the fly line run through the eyes of many different rods, of many different actions. And I came up with a spacing system based on the information that we gleaned from that particular piece of information.
Because I noticed, one of the things I noticed straight away was, first of all, the distance of the initial ring spacer. And also the internal diameter. Could you explain, subject to what you just said, how you managed to come up with that distance and that diameter?
It was an interesting one, Ian. On the S-Series rods, we have basically it's running line that's going to run through. We're not going to have the thick casting part of the line. We're shooting heads, we're definitely not going to have that within the rod. So the interesting part was that we only need, in the S-Series, we only really needed 11 rings on the rod, on most of the rods anyway. The longer rods, 15'8", slightly different. But on most of the rods, this is what we had, 11 rings on it. And it was to stop, because there was no issue of bagging between the rings. On the traditional rod, on the other hand, we needed to put more rings into that. And the reason we needed more rings into that was that we had this bagging effect. Because we have the thick part of the fly line.
And thicker lines.
Absolutely. And so you had a bagging between the guides. So we decided it needed more support on the traditional rod and less support on the T-Serie and the S-Series rod.
But would it be fair to say that, albeit the traditional is a more through action, slightly more parabolic, and the actual the shooting head is a faster action, but you could, in essence, still underhand with the traditional and also traditional speycast with the S-Series?
Absolutely. No, definitely, Ian. It's not to say that this is specifically for this. These rods will work with a wide range of lines as well. We have, again, we've got the rating underneath, and we've marked this in all the rods that we've done. So we've got the shooting head there, 36 grams. We've got mid-spay line,
Yes.
and basically it covers every bit. But
well, it takes a lot of the guessing out when somebody's buying a line. It takes a lot of the guessing subject to the marriage between the rod and the line, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I think it's an excellent system.
It's a really good system, and again, I think it's a system that will be adopted by more people in the future.
Yes,
I think that the old AFTM is slightly controversial, but the old AFTM system, it doesn't really stand well with double-handed rods, and especially when we're making the line shorter.
Yes.
It doesn't sit really well with that. So this is, I think, a much better system.
And would you say in your professional capacity, where have you seen the design of fly lines going subject to rods? Have they got longer heads? Have they tended to come shorter?
For sure shorter, Ian, for sure. I mean, when we're looking at this particular range of rods, what I did is I thought about most people fishing with a fairly short line, head length. Yeah. But with this inherent casting stroke that we get from most people, So the design of the S-Series rod and the T-Series rod is taking that into consideration.
And so you've got the Zenith, which is the flagship,
and
you've got these Marksmans that come in, and what price do these start from then, Ian?
So the Marksman, Ian, will start up at about £499.
So that's a good price.
So it's a really nice level price, absolutely, for a very, very good piece of kit.
And I see that it's aesthetically, the reel seat's lovely, the ring spacing is good quality, blank is excellent. I've cast them both, and I have to say I love them both, but they look to me as if they represent good value for money for not only your average caster, but would it be fair to say novice caster right through to advanced casters would benefit
Ian,
from this
rod? What were you saying about the S rod earlier on yourself?
Yes.
You know, it's a fabulous piece of kit.
Absolutely.
And for ourselves, at a really high level, really, really good.
Yes.
But for Mr. Average,
yes,
so easy to use.
Yes, I have.
Unbelievable.